Samurai warriors were still training with real swords at 70 years old, not holding them, not teaching theory, actually drawing blades, executing kata, and moving through combat sequences that would leave most modern 40-year-olds gasping on the floor. Compare that to what we see today. Seniors who can't reach overhead to grab a dish from the cabinet, who groan getting out of a chair, who've accepted that stiffness is just part of getting older. Here's what nobody tells you. Those samurai weren't born with special genetics or superhuman flexibility. They simply never stopped doing a specific 5-minute mobility sequence every single morning before training. This wasn't stretching the way we think about it in the West. This was mobility restoration, a systematic approach to keeping every joint fluid and every movement pain-free. The samurai understood something modern medicine is only now confirming. Stiffness isn't an inevitable part of aging. It's the result of not moving through your full range of motion every single day. When you stop using a range, you lose that range. But here's the incredible part. You can get it back. What you're about to see isn't theory or speculation. These 5 movements come directly from the morning routines practiced in traditional samurai training halls, preserved through lineages of Japanese martial arts masters. They take 15 minutes total, require 0 equipment, and work with your body's natural design instead of fighting against it. Before we dive in, drop a quick comment and let me know. What's the one movement you struggle with most? Is it reaching overhead, bending down, turning your head, or something else? I read every comment, and I'll give you specific advice for your situation. And if you want more ancient Japanese mobility secrets, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Today, I'm breaking down each movement, showing you exactly how to do it safely, and giving you the complete daily sequence that ties everything together. Because the goal isn't to become a samurai. It's to move through your day without pain, without limitation, and without accepting stiffness as your new normal. All right, let's get into the first movement that forms the foundation of everything else. Let's start with what samurai called the dawn hip awakening. Samurai warriors never went into battle with cold hips. It was a death sentence. Your hips are the most mobile joints in your entire body, but they're also the first joints to freeze up when you stop moving them through their full range. This first movement is what samurai did every single morning, before dawn training sessions, to ensure their hips were fluid, mobile, and ready for explosive movement in any direction. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, hands on your hips for stability. Now, imagine you're standing inside a barrel, and your hip is tracing a circle around the inside of that barrel. Slowly rotate your hips in a complete circle, moving from front to side to back to the other side. Keep your upper body relatively still. This isn't a dance move, it's controlled, deliberate joint mobilization. What makes this movement so powerful is how it distributes synovial fluid throughout your hip joint. That's the lubrication your joints need to move without grinding, without pain, without inflammation. When you wake up stiff, it's partly because that fluid has settled during the night. These circles redistribute it, essentially oiling the joint from the inside. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. This movement takes your hip through flexion, extension, abduction, and rotation, all in one smooth pattern. It activates your hip flexors, your glutes, your deep hip rotators, and even your core stabilizers. Modern life destroys hip mobility. Sitting in chairs, wearing supportive shoes, walking on flat surfaces, your hips were designed to move in every direction, but we've trapped them in a 90-degree angle for 8 to 12 hours a day. The most common mistake I see is people using momentum instead of control. They swing their hips fast, letting gravity do the work. That accomplishes nothing. Slow, controlled circles where you feel every inch of the movement. That's what creates change. Start with 3 complete circles in one direction, then reverse for 3 circles the other way. As your hips open up over the next few weeks, build up to 10 circles each direction. If you feel unstable, place one hand on a wall or the back of a sturdy chair. If you hear clicking or popping without pain, that's normal. It's gas bubbles releasing from the joint. If you feel sharp pain, reduce your range of motion. Work within your current capability, not where you think you should be. Within just 3 to 5 days of daily practice, you'll notice a difference. Walking feels easier. Getting in and out of the car doesn't require that awkward twist. Your lower back pain starts to fade because your hips are finally doing their job again instead of forcing your spine to compensate. Now that you've unlocked your hips, we need to address the joint that most seniors have completely given up on: your shoulders. This next movement is what gave samurai the ability to draw their swords in one fluid motion well into old age. This is the Blade Master's shoulder release. Drawing a katana from its sheath requires perfect shoulder mobility. One stuck joint, one tight rotator cuff, and you're defenseless. The drawing motion, called iaido in Japanese martial arts, demands your shoulder to move through internal rotation, external rotation, and elevation all within a fraction of a second. This movement unlocked the exact shoulder freedom that kept samurai combat ready into their 60s and 70s. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Extend your right arm straight out to your side at shoulder height, palm facing forward. Now here's the key. Keep your arm at that exact height and slowly rotate your entire arm so your palm faces backward, then down, then forward again. Your shoulder joint is rotating inside its socket. This is internal and external rotation, and most people over 50 have lost 70 to 80% of this range without even realizing it. What makes this different from typical stretching is that you're actively controlling the rotation, not passively pulling on it. Active mobility builds strength through the range, which means your body trusts that range and actually lets you use it. When you just pull on a joint passively, you might get temporary flexibility, but your nervous system doesn't recognize it as safe, so it locks back up the next day. Here's what's happening inside your shoulder. You have 4 small muscles called the rotator cuff that stabilize your shoulder joint. Modern life, especially sitting at computers and looking at phones, locks these muscles in one position for hours. They forget how to move through their full range. This rotation pattern wakes them up, reminds them what their job is, and restores the mobility you've lost. The biggest mistake people make is shrugging their shoulder up toward their ear during the rotation. Keep your shoulder blade down and back. The movement happens at the shoulder joint itself, not from lifting your whole shoulder girdle. Another common error is bending your elbow. Keep that arm straight. Yes, it's harder. That's the point. If you can't keep your arm at shoulder height, lower it to 45 degrees. If even that's too much, start with your arm at your side and just rotate your forearm in and out like you're turning a doorknob. You'll still get benefit. Progress gradually. Do 5 slow rotations with your palm leading the movement, then reverse and do 5 rotations the other direction. Switch arms and repeat. 30 seconds per arm, 3 sets total. Within 2 weeks, you'll notice reaching overhead becomes easier. Putting on a jacket doesn't require that compensating twist. Sleeping on your side doesn't wake you up with a dead arm anymore. Your rotator cuff is remembering its job. But here's something most people don't realize. Your shoulder mobility is directly connected to your ankle mobility. If your ankles are stiff, your body compensates up the chain. That's why this next movement might be the most important one of all. This is the warrior's foundation prep. Samurai spent hours analyzing footwork because weak ankles meant death in combat. Your opponent doesn't wait for you to find your balance. If your ankles were stiff, if your feet couldn't adapt to uneven ground instantly, you were finished. This ancient ankle mobility drill is why Japanese elders can still navigate stairs, uneven sidewalks, and slippery surfaces with confidence, while their Western counterparts are terrified of falling. Here's what most people don't understand about ankles. They're not just hinges that point your toes up and down. Your ankle joint moves in multiple planes: dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, inversion, eversion. If you've lost any of these ranges, your knee compensates, then your hip compensates, then your lower back compensates. Suddenly you've got knee pain, hip pain, and back pain, and you're blaming age when the real culprit is your ankle. Sit in a chair with your right foot flat on the ground. Lift just your heel, keeping your toes planted. Now lift just your toes, keeping your heel down. Alternate back and forth 10 times. Feel those muscles in your shin and calf waking up? They've been asleep. Now, lift your entire right foot off the ground and slowly trace the largest circle you can with your big toe. Imagine you're drawing on a canvas. Make the circle as big as possible. 5 circles clockwise, then 5 counterclockwise. But here's where it gets interesting. Now spread your toes as wide as you possibly can. Hold that spread for 5 seconds. Most people can barely move their toes independently because modern shoes have been crushing them together for decades. Your toes are supposed to spread for balance, to grip the ground, to distribute your weight evenly. Shoes have turned them into passive passengers. The ankle-knee-hip connection is real. Studies show that people with limited ankle dorsiflexion, that's the ability to bring your shin toward your toes, have significantly higher rates of knee osteoarthritis. Why? Because when your ankle can't bend properly during walking or stair climbing, your knee has to twist to compensate. That twisting wears down cartilage. Fix the ankle, save the knee. Common mistake: moving from your hip instead of your ankle during the circles. Keep your knee still. The movement should come entirely from your ankle joint. If you hear cracking and popping, don't panic. That's normal. It's adhesions breaking up, gas bubbles releasing. As long as there's no sharp pain, you're fine. Do this entire sequence for 2 minutes per foot, morning and evening, if you really want to accelerate results. Within 1 week, you'll notice stairs feel different. Your balance improves. You stop shuffling and start actually lifting your feet when you walk. But ankle mobility alone isn't enough. We need to address the area that controls everything, your spine. This next movement is what kept samurai upright and pain-free, despite wearing 60-pound armor for hours at a time. This is the seated spine restoration. After battle, samurai would sit in meditation, but their sitting position wasn't passive rest, it was active recovery. This movement pattern kept their spines fluid and pain-free, despite wearing heavy armor that compressed their vertebrae for hours. The Japanese call this practice segmented spinal breathing, and it's one of the most powerful things you can do for chronic back pain. Sit on the floor cross-legged. If that's too intense on your hips, sit on the edge of a firm cushion to elevate your pelvis slightly, or sit in a chair with your feet flat on the ground. Either way works. The key is your spine position. Sit tall but not rigid. Imagine your spine is a stack of coins balanced on top of each other. Now, we're going to create a wave through that stack, one vertebra at a time. Start by tucking your tailbone under, like you're scooping your pelvis forward. Feel your lower back round slightly. Now, continue that rounding up your spine, one section at a time. Your mid-back rounds, your upper back rounds. Finally, your head drops forward and your chin tucks toward your chest. You're in a curve, like a cat arching its back. Hold this for 3 seconds while you exhale completely. Now reverse it. Tilt your pelvis forward, creating a small arch in your lower back. Let that arch travel up your spine. Your mid-back extends, your chest opens, your shoulder blades draw together. Your head lifts and your gaze rises slightly. You're in extension, the opposite curve. Hold for 3 seconds while you inhale deeply. That's one complete wave. Here's what makes this so effective. Your spine has 24 movable vertebrae, but most people move their spine as one rigid unit. They've lost segmental mobility. Each vertebra is supposed to move independently. This wave pattern teaches your nervous system to access each segment again. It's like WD-40 for your spine, but from the inside. What's happening anatomically is fascinating. Between each vertebra, you have a disc that acts as a shock absorber. These discs don't have direct blood supply. They get nutrients through movement and fluid exchange. When you sit still for hours, those discs essentially starve. This wave motion pumps fluid in and waste products out. You're feeding your spine at a cellular level. The breathing integration is crucial. Exhale as you round forward into flexion. Inhale as you arch back into extension. This coordinates your diaphragm movement with your spinal movement, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest mode. Stress literally melts away. Common mistake: rushing through the movement. This isn't exercise, it's restoration. Move slowly enough that you can feel each vertebra articulating. 5 complete waves to start, building up to 20 as you get more comfortable. Within days, you'll notice your posture improves without even thinking about it. Back pain that's been constant for years starts to fade. Breathing becomes easier and deeper. But we're not done yet. This final movement ties everything together and addresses the one position that reveals your true mobility age. This is the warrior's reset position. This final movement is what samurai used after intense training to restore their body's natural mobility. It looks deceptively simple, but it's addressing every tight spot modern living has created in your body. The Japanese call this the resting squat, and if you can do this comfortably, your biological age is at least 10 years younger than your chronological age. Stand with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, toes pointing slightly outward. Now, lower yourself down into a deep squat, as low as you can go, keeping your heels on the ground. Your goal is to sink down until your hips drop below your knees, with your torso relatively upright. Let your arms hang between your legs or hold them in front of you for balance. This is the position humans sat in for thousands of years before chairs existed. Here's what most people don't know. This single position tests and trains your hip flexion, ankle dorsiflexion, thoracic spine extension, and core stability all at once. If you can't get into this position, it reveals exactly where your mobility limitations are. Can't keep your heels down, your ankles are stiff, can't keep your torso upright, your hips are tight. Falling backward, your core isn't engaging properly. In traditional Japan, this was daily life. People squatted to eat, to rest, to work in rice fields, to use the toilet. Their bodies maintained this range naturally. But we've spent decades sitting in chairs that lock our hips at 90 degrees and our ankles at 90 degrees. We've lost our genetic birthright of being able to rest comfortably in this position. The good news? You can get it back. What makes this position so powerful is the breathing component. While you're in the squat, take slow, deep breaths into your belly. Feel your rib cage expand in all directions. This creates internal pressure that gently mobilizes your hips and spine from the inside out. It's like self-massage for your joints. The deep breathing also signals your nervous system that you're safe in this position, which allows your muscles to release their protective tension. Now, let's talk modifications because most people can't do this perfectly right away. If you can't keep your heels down, place a rolled towel or small weight plates under your heels. This reduces the ankle mobility demand while you build it up. If you feel like you're going to fall backward, hold onto a sturdy chair or door frame in front of you. If your hips won't let you go that deep, only go as low as you can while maintaining good form. Meet your body where it is today. Start with 20-second holds. Just sink down, breathe, and let gravity do the work. As you get more comfortable, add small movements. Rock gently side to side. Shift your weight from foot to foot. Open your knees wider with your elbows. Build up to 3-minute holds over the next month. This position alone will transform your hip mobility, improve your digestion, strengthen your pelvic floor, and decompress your spine. Now that you know all 5 movements, let me show you exactly how to tie them together into a complete daily routine. Here's your 15-minute samurai mobility sequence. Now that you know all 5 movements, you're probably wondering how to put this together into something that actually fits into your real life. Let me show you exactly how samurai structured their morning routine and how you can adapt it to work for you, whether you're a morning person or not. The complete sequence flows from standing to seated to squat, which mirrors how your body naturally wakes up and opens. Start with the dawn hip awakening. 3 circles each direction to distribute that synovial fluid and wake up your hip joints. That's 1 minute. Move immediately into the Blade Master's shoulder release. 30 seconds per arm, focusing on slow, controlled rotation. That's another 2 minutes total. Without stopping, drop down into the Warrior's Foundation prep. 2 minutes per foot, working through those ankle circles and toe spreads. You're now 6 minutes in, and you've mobilized your entire lower chain and upper chain. Next, Sit down for the seated spine restoration. 10 complete waves, coordinating your breath with the movement. Exhale as you round forward. Inhale as you arch back. This takes about 3 minutes. Finally, move into the warrior's reset position, that deep squat hold. Start with 1 minute, building up to 3 as you get stronger. Add it all up, and you're at 15 minutes maximum, but you can do an effective version in just 10 minutes if you're short on time. Here's the progression timeline that actually works. Week 1 and 2 are your foundation phase. Don't worry about how long you hold anything or how many repetitions you complete. Focus entirely on learning the positions correctly and understanding what you should feel in each movement. Your body needs time to remember these patterns. Some movements will feel easy, others will feel impossible. That's normal. That contrast shows you exactly where your body needs the most work. Week 3 and 4. Start adding duration. If you were holding the squat for 20 seconds, push to 30 or 40. If you were doing 3 hip circles, increase to 5. Small progressions compound quickly. Your goal isn't to match what a 60-year-old samurai could do. Your goal is to be more mobile than you were last week. That's it. Month 2 and beyond is where things get exciting. You can start experimenting with variations. Close your eyes during the balance work to challenge your vestibular system. Add gentle arm movements during the squat. Flow from one position directly into the next without breaks. The Japanese concept of kaizen applies perfectly here. Kaizen means continuous improvement through small, incremental changes. You don't need massive transformations. You need consistency. 15 minutes daily beats an hour once a week, every single time. Here's what to expect at different milestones. After 3 days, you'll notice less morning stiffness. After 1 week, movements that were difficult become manageable. After 1 month, people start commenting that you're standing taller or moving differently. After 3 months, you've fundamentally changed your movement patterns. Pain you thought was permanent starts fading. Activities you'd given up become possible again. Listen to your body's feedback. Some days you'll feel strong and want to push harder. Other days, just maintaining the basic positions is perfect. Both are valuable. Now let me tie this all together and show you what's really possible when you commit to moving like a warrior. The samurai understood something we've forgotten. Mobility isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of strength, independence, and longevity. Those warriors training with real swords at 70 weren't lucky or genetically gifted. They simply never stopped moving through their full range of motion every single day. These 5 movements are your pathway back to fluid, pain-free movement you thought was gone forever. This isn't about becoming a warrior. It's about moving through life without limitation, without fear of falling, without that constant background noise of stiffness and pain. 15 minutes daily. That's your investment in independence. That's how you age on your own terms, instead of accepting decline as inevitable. So here's my challenge. Don't wait until tomorrow. Pick just one of these movements and do it right now. Comment below and tell me which one you're starting with and what your biggest mobility struggle is. I read every single comment, and I'll give you personalized advice for your situation. If we hit 100 comments, I'll release the samurai's secret evening recovery routine that nobody in the West has ever seen. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss it. Your body hasn't forgotten how to move. It's just waiting for you to remind it.